Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. When it comes to cutting-edge materials that make your project easier to complete or make the finished product more energy efficient, products like Nudura, insulated concrete forms, A.G. Hines Company is the place to turn. They've got all the cutting-edge materials, all the tools you could need to make your project simple, easy, quick, painless, and good at the end. Since 1920, they have led the way in building materials here in East Tennessee. A.G. Hines Company. All right, this is our Hot Read segment. 2 questions, one for each couple. I'll start with Bob and Jimmy here. This was one of the 50-50 games that we talked about before the season. You know, it was Pitt, Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky. Those were the 50-50 games that if you wanted to reach a bowl, you'd have to take a number of these. So it was important for that reason. But I think this was a sneaky big game for 2 reasons. One, I think a loss, I don't think the Florida loss, well, it ticked some people off. I think most realistic people expect you to lose to Florida.
Sure.
If you lose to Missouri, I think that would have kicked off grumbling season. I think you would have started to hear, well, this guy can't get it done. Who is this guy? Can't even beat Missouri. So I think it was important to win yesterday for that purpose. I also think now you have something, as we talked about on Friday on your radio show, Sports Talk, WNML, 3 to 7 every day. Is that a good enough plug?
Very good. I didn't hear you.
Yeah. You also now have something to take before recruits and say, see, I'm not just selling air. Look here, this is what we do. This is what you can be a part of. Assuming you agree that this was a sneaky big game, which is the bigger reason for the importance of this win? The fact that it keeps the fans, okay, we're not going to grumble now, or the fact that it helps you on the recruiting front with something tangible to sell? Gentlemen?
Go ahead.
I'm going to go recruiting. I think that when you're selling a program, you have to sell some results. Tennessee has kind of been in a lull in recruiting, right? Where they 14 commitments, I think. They hadn't had a whole lot of action lately, and there's some really good players that they're in on. But I think when you show the tangible results, I think that you get the attention of the Walter Nolans and others. So I think that a win like that is like, see, and you would fit into our system right here as a running back or right here as a receiver. So I think that's a big selling point. And I will admit, when I said that I thought Missouri was a 50-50 game, I wasn't thinking about Tennessee scoring 50 points in the first half and 50 in the second half. Right. But anyway.
I want to go with Jimmy on that. I think that what it does is that you are now elevated a little bit. I mean, you're not just another also-ran at the bottom of the SEC. Sure, you're still stuck in the middle, and we'll see, once again, how things go going forward. But it is an important thing to be able to go out there and show the numbers that you just showed a minute ago. You come here and play in our offense, you're going to catch passes, you're going to score touchdowns. And, you know, you can also point out, hey, it's fun for our offensive linemen too. You know, they might
Cut
get
to
a
the
little
shot of
worn
Ollie
down.
Lane.
You know,
running down
exactly. And so I think it was a sneaky big win, and I think what you can do with it going forward, since right now you're not recruiting against Alabama and Georgia, you're recruiting against Missouri and Kentucky, and I think that's where the level it's going to help you at.
One thing I want to add about that is before that game, Tyon Evans said, we're going to have some fun. Mm-hmm. It was almost like it was a Cheshire cat locked in a canary cage. He was ready, and then it proved to be that way, right? Yeah. So I'm sitting there thinking, if I'm a coach, I'm going to let these recruits know we had a game plan, we had this set up, and look what happened. This could be a part of what you could enjoy as well.
Yeah.
But I thought what Evans said about how much fun they were going to have was pretty telling.
Yeah. Fun was had.
Yeah. And I also think that, you know, as you said, you can now walk into a recruit's or a running back's home and say, look at Tyon Evans. That's you. Imagine, it's instead of number 8, you like number 6? We've got 5 of those. You're number 6. All right. Josh and Chuck, it was an emphatic, feel-good win for Tennessee. But we also know the situation with Tennessee's roster. And it seemed one guy after another hobbled off. Now, some hobbled back on. Some then hobbled off a second time. Jabari Small, Elijah Simmons, Tyon Evans, Theo Jackson, Dane Davis. Dane Davis from an already just paper-thin offensive line. You're out. Cooper Mays is out. Kingston Harris is out for who knows how long. Dane Davis left the field hobbling twice. Do you guys, you know, you don't want to put too much of a damper on the victory, but there's a chance here this could be a Pyrrhic victory. If you got the win, and yet 5 of these guys aren't going to play against South Carolina, how big are your concerns now on this injury front thing? I was concerned starting in November. We're at the 1st of October, and I think we're ahead on the injury schedule of where I thought we would be.
Yeah, Chuck.
Well, I think it's especially true about the offensive line. And in some other players, you did play a lot of people, but I know a lot of fans were holding their breath in the fourth quarter, saying who else is going to get hurt. And I look at Jabari Small, and now I'm thinking that's a nagging shoulder situation that's going to limit his playing in just about every game. So, yeah, I mean, it is a concern, especially as you go into this October stretch.
Yeah, I'm not concerned yet. A positive spin would be, hey, you had somebody like Christian Charles step up, Danico Slaughter step up, guys that we've heard about but we haven't seen that much from, young players that are going to have more opportunities. Because of the blowout, Lyneth Whitehead gets more run. Maybe he's somebody that develops. But if you deal with more injuries up front, that's where I think you would come back to real concern with some of these games. I mean, you know how it's going to go against Alabama and Georgia. But what if guys get beat up in that game and you're coming out of it and you're in a really tough spot in November? But right now, because of what the schedule is as well with some of these manageable games, South Carolina this week, Kentucky, I think you can hold up against those level teams.
So not a Pyrrhic victory, says Josh Ward. Chuck's a little more on the
I'm
fence.
a little more, yeah, I mean, because it's going to get tougher. You know, and what's the open date after Alabama? Is that correct?
Yes.
I believe that's right. Yeah. That's a pretty good open date to have, I think, as you look at this injury situation, if it gets worse.
All right. Well, you could always have the open date right before Alabama. That's what happened with Lane Kiffin, and that really. Oh wait, did I mention Lane Kiffin's loss again? Oh man! All right,
get your popcorn ready.
Yeah. When we come back, 3 VFLs, including 2 guys who played for Lane Kiffin who won't like me making fun of him. They're going to join the panel, and we're going to talk about Hendon Hooker. Talk about tempting fate in terms of getting guys hurt. He was in there awfully late in that ball game, still carrying that football. We'll discuss it with our VFLs next. Come on back on the Sports Source.